It's interesting how seeing things from a new perspective can change all of your opinions. Last week, I made a video on RallyX America's first 2 rounds at Crandon, and while it hasn't aged poorly, I do think there were a few things that weren't thought through from all angles. See, I try to be as critical as I can with these videos. I like to bring up the positives, but also point out the negatives, and sometimes point out feedback as to how you could fix them. However, as you would expect, most of the videos are simply from my perspective rather than the series. My perspective in question being a fan who follows the sport remotely, the only exception being when I went to Crandon last year. This year I decided to add a second event to my list, that being the brand new Rallycross track in my backyard, Eldora. In all honesty, I was really worried. Ohio does not have a good track record with top-level Rallycross tracks or dirt road racing of any kind, and with Eldora being considerably smaller than the previous oval track conversions, I wasn't sure how they were going to pull it off. At first, it seemed really bad, given the AI-generated track map, which was then retconned by something that looks like it was made in Microsoft Paint. Version 1 of this track literally had a cone as the joker, while this gravel section actually was supposed to be a full-on tabletop jump. And honestly, I am very happy they removed it. What we ended up getting might actually be one of the best Rallycross tracks in the entire planet. We start with a full asphalt launch pad into a very tight merge point. It's very reminiscent of the launch pad Turkey has in the World Championship, which is great. Send the car into turn 1 and pick your line. The cars do 1 full lap of the oval, which sounds nothing short of absolutely insane, but trust me, this actually works. When entering turn 3 and 4 on your second lap, nail the handbrake and back the car in for a very challenging section. The normal route goes straight on with one hard 90-degree corner to the right before blasting back on the dirt oval with another hairpin corner. The joker is on the inside of this asphalt and gravel section, where the drivers flick the car to the left and right almost S-string style. You can take 2 cars back onto the oval, so nail the gas, and that is a full lap of the Eldora Rallycross track. Now, is this track extremely weird? Yes it is. But honestly, I don't want to see a single person say that it's bad. American Rallycross has always had creative tracks, and Eldora will go down as one of the strangest in the entire history of the sport. Running the entire oval for the first lap forces the cars to spread out, as frankly, these are privateer teams. There's no reason to drive up costs by having a full-on pile-up by just letting them go into the hairpin on lap 1. And on that note, please stop saying the hypercars are killing the sport. They are the only reason that this sport even still exists in America. Now, I should say that, yes, I am probably biased because of recency, the fact that this track is literally in my backyard, and I got to see 2019 World Rallycross champion Timmy Hansen take his first win of the season, as well as briefly interview him. I'm really happy how open the paddock in RallyX is, because I had the time of my life interviewing and yapping it up with the teams and drivers. I'm planning on doing a follow-up video to this of putting all of these interviews together, so do subscribe for that and more Rallycross content. Spa 2019 had a weird quirk to it that made that race so memorable, and it wasn't the great layout, the perfectly soft dirt compound, or that Timur Timurjanov got his first win in the World Championship, but rather being that this track was damp. Not dry, not wet, somewhere in between. And with parts of this track drying out faster than others, this opens the door to new racing lines, as well as mistakes from even some of the best in the world. Eldora had that same quality to it, but there was another track that had this advantage for its first season: Mete. Mete was one of the worst tracks on the calendar of the World Championship, and while I've come to like driving it in racing games, it was always a snooze festival in the World Championship. Aside from 2014, which saw rapidly changing conditions, just like Spa 2019 and now Eldora 2026. Unlike Mete, however, this track just seems to be good for Rallycross, and I can only see one corner being considerably more difficult to pass next year if this track was in the full dry. But we'll just have to wait and see what the conditions are like next year. The racing itself was honestly some of the best I've ever seen with the FC1. As previously mentioned, every corner is a passing zone. That led to a lot of overtakes in supercars and hypercars. The Joker lap was actually very tricky to navigate, with multiple cones and tractor tires being hit, leading to a lot of chip damage on the FC1s and FC2s, as well as a few drivers making mistakes and colliding with the walls on banked corners. And while you could argue Timmy Hansen did dominate the final, he didn't exactly have it his way all day, as he had to fight back from a really hard crash in Crandon in round 2, as well as having to fight his way through all of his heat races. And it should be noted that there was at one point a very weird crash with most of the supercars not being able to take turn 3's hairpin, but apart from that, the track itself really impressed me. Everybody would argue that semifinal 1 was absolutely amazing and might actually go down as one of the best races in the World Championship. It had the same level of carnage and contact as Hockenheim 2016, and frankly, this is one of those races that you would put Eurobeat over. As Robin Larson crashed out as he was the favorite to make it to the final, his teammate Michaela Olin-Konzelitsky was the one that actually challenged the Eriksson brothers as well as the other drivers, and ended up winning her semifinal, her first win in top-level Rallycross. And while she didn't go on to win the final, she really did go on to show that she's not all talk and does have a place in this paddock. She's definitely gotten a lot more comfortable with the FC1 now, and I'm very happy to see that. After a few oopsie daisies here and there, it's fair to say Michaela did eventually become the faster driver than Robin Larson, her teammate in equal machinery. But that's about all I have to say for the racing. If you can make it to Eldora next year, I would highly recommend going, assuming this event is on the calendar, and frankly, I see no reason to remove it. I was surprised at how many changes they made within less than 7 days. Notably, for whatever reason, this race was broadcasted for free on YouTube. Not clips, not highlights, the entire event posted for free. I don't know why, but hey, it makes it easier for me to get footage, I guess. Like I said, I personally still do not mind paying a service for Rallycross, but the highlights and other free content has to improve. The actual broadcast was a significantly higher quality than what Crandon showed. The cameras were at an acceptable quality, nothing outrageously good, but a massive improvement over the 2011 GoPros that they were using. The graphics package were from RallyX themselves this time, and it looked so much better than this awful, disgusting, appalling, no good, very bad, useless brick that they called a graphic. The RallyX graphics package is really underrated. I heard a lot of people say that they want the scroll bar back, but I honestly do love the RallyX graphics package. I think it's one of the cleanest in motorsport right now, and I do watch a lot more than just Rallycross, which you probably wouldn't know given the shirt I'm wearing. I felt commentary was a lot better for this round. Josh Overholzer replaced Tiffany Stone this weekend, and while he's not my favorite commentator ever, he let Jim Beaver do his job. My dream commentary team is still Josh Mertz as play-by-play with Beaver as color commentary. Either way, I think Jim did a really good job this weekend, and frankly is a lot better than I gave him credit for in the previous video. This entire event was handled a lot better than Crandon was. This track was nicer on the FC2s, the commentary was understandable, and almost everything about this event just felt good, apart from a few things. So, what still needs worked on? What do you think? It's the communications. I'd honestly argue they got worse with this event, as even though Friday got rained out and cancelled, there was never a cancellation announcement from RallyX or Eldora. Rather, I only found out through talking to Chris Leone. You know, kind of a big part in making this championship even run here in the first place. The fact that I needed to climb that ladder in order to find out if the event was cancelled because of rain is ludicrous. Communications need a massive step up. Scheduling was finished at the very last second for this race, and I'm unsure why. Even before the rain cancellation on Friday, RallyX were the only cars here this weekend, so there really isn't much of an excuse other than maybe last second track changes. No matter the reason, it led to a lot of people cancelling their tickets and not attending the race. The entry lists are also appallingly bad to figure out. Like seriously, why are we learning the entry list literal hours before an event? Some race fans are only fans of one specific driver. For example, Banksy Hovey, Gray Leadbetter, Kevin and Oliver Eriksson, Timmy Hansen, and Lia Block are by far the largest names competing. People will come to these races just to see them and them specifically, and apparently get flirty with some of them too.
Lia Block, I got to give a shout out to that one young race fan shooting his shot there.
Hey, never hurts.
Yeah, I love Lia Block, and you know what? Hey, shoot your shot, buddy. You never know. But
it's why World Rallycross took off even further in 2017 and 18. Ken Block joined the series with his garage, and therefore his entire fan base became Rallycross fans. Once RallyX have their communications figured out, or at least a lot closer, or ideally on par with their RallyX European Championships, we should be in for a much better, more professional championship. However, arguably the second biggest thing this championship needs to do is get some manufacturers in. I will never stop glazing Timmy Hansen's team for making such a nice looking car that's actually unique compared to the others. However, you do need some recognizable names other than the drivers. I called out Hyundai, Chevrolet, and Ford in the past video, as they all make performance SUVs that these Rallycross hypercars would do a good job advertising and promoting. Let's call out a few more. How about Porsche, Audi, Genesis, BMW, and Kia? And while we're here, let's go ahead and throw in Subaru, Mitsubishi, Volvo, and Mini as well. But the one that sticks out the most still is Dodge. Dodge is probably going to rejoin once they unveil their new Ioniq 5 competitor. And I think once one of these companies bites, we could see a whole grid filled with different big name brands, all running on the FC1 and FC2 chassis. Near the end of its lifespan, Global Rallycross really settled with having 3 manufacturers, and honestly, I feel like this was okay. Obviously, it would be cool to have more, but as long as we have at least 3 or even 2, I would be happy with that, as that means there would be 2 big name teams competing against the privateers, with privateers in equal machinery. I would love to see that. I also have not spoken about the tires yet, but Yokohama sticking around is a massive benefit to the series. Their tires have been great for the FC1 even back in Nitrocross, as the Gen 2 tire has been very reliable and entertaining. I really hope they stay around for many more years to come with RallyX. As while they are going in the right direction, RallyX has to work on 2 big things: communications and consistency. Eldora seriously was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life, and if you can go attend a RallyX race, I would say go ahead and do it. The paddock is very welcoming, and actually attending one of these races is way cooler than it even looks on TV. No, I'm not sponsored by RallyX. I genuinely, seriously cannot recommend this championship enough. Even multiple people in my comment section of the previous video pointed this out, as the best way to help this series grow is to support it. And despite what problems we do have with RallyX, it's safe to say that with Andreas at the helm, Rallycross might actually finally succeed in America. Every time Rallycross has died, it's felt like it's come back stronger, and this time is no different. And I think this time might actually be the one. I fully agree with everyone saying to support the series, because that's how Rallycross wins. As usual, thank you all for watching and making it to the end. Feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like Rallycross, and most importantly, go watch RallyX.